No, a year like this, we haven't had a dry year like this ever since I've been here. So it could be winding up to one of those terrible years for EHD. It's basically an EHD vaccine in a natural form that is legal to feed to wild animals. What's in those feeders has been our secret weapon against EHD for the past 8-10 years. Now we're into, the middle of June, and this is kind of winding up to be, it's looking like 2012 when we had all the EHD. So forgetting about spraying, forgetting about fields, planting, everything, number one priority right now for me is EHD, and how am I going to prevent that from happening this year if it stays in this trend. And once you get in these dry trends like this, starting from all the way back to April, it normally stays like that through the whole year. So I'm assuming that EHD is going to be bad this year. Hopefully I'm wrong, but you got to be prepared for it anyway. So we're doing it. I got a feeder over here that I haven't used for a while, and there've been a lot of deer around it over the years, and they've just trampled it out where it's like a trough around the whole thing, and it fills with water and gets muddy and stuff like that. So I'm going to move that out of there. But I'm also going to put in, we bought some big Rubbermaid 100-gallon tubs there. I'm going to put water right there as well. And again, even though there's water around and creeks and ponds and everything around, I don't want them going to those, because that's traditionally where the midges are going to hatch on that kind of stuff. So again, going back to the 2% on this, 2% on that, if I can at least get them drinking out of this water and eating out of that feeder that has the Anni-Logics pellets in it, if I can do everything I can to prevent them from getting EHD, we're going to do it. And again, like I said, the water trough here might be another 2%. The feed stuff is a big thing. I mean, I've never had any problem with EHD since we've been feeding the Anni-Logics pellets, and we'll go into that deeper as we get down the road here, how that prevents the EHD and a lot of other things. But right now we're going to move a feeder, get it filled, get a water tank in there, and just head around to all my feeders and start putting water tanks in there and making sure that they're out of places that any mud can accumulate or anything else. I'm moving some that I can, new places. Other ones we'll leave. If they can't move them, we'll put rock in, like I said. But got the excavator to dig a little bit of hole. These tubs are about 36 inches high, so I want to dig down maybe about a foot, just so fawns and young deer can get their head in there still. They don't have to try to reach over the top, but still enough that when it gets low, that they can get their head down in there and to drink. So I'm going to take that mini excavator and dig them in a little bit. But that's what we're doing today, preventing EHD. I mean, it's nothing worse than having all your big deer that you've passed over the years and stuff and finding them all dead. So we're going to prevent that from happening, or at least for the most part now. So with as dry as it is, didn't get any rain, it's like that's priority number one right now. I think I need them just under the back end, under the backside one. Right now, I said we're focusing on EHD, and what's in those feeders has been our secret weapon against EHD for the past 8-10 years since we started feeding this, and it's worked so far. But we haven't had like the big outbreaks like we did back in 12 and 13 and those. But like I said, this year's winding up to be like 2012, drought-wise. So we're gonna start really paying attention, and hopefully that feed, it will take care of it. If you come and look at this feed here, is a little bit shaken out of here. What I have is a mix, and for different seasons too, we'll be able to change the ratio. There's always 2,000 pounds or 200 pounds per ton of the pellet, and that's an Anni-Logics base pellet, and has the TX4 in there for EHD, plus a bunch of other things as well. And a lot of other minerals or pellets, they might just be alfalfa pellets, it has high protein or anything like that, and it has all that too. But the thing that's different about Anni-Logics, and the reason that I changed and came over to Anni-Logics, is because what else is in here. Now, I sat down with Mark and Aaron from Anni-Logics, and we did a whole segment on that. We'll try to get that together and post that as well. But just in a nutshell, the parent company of Anni-Logics is a animal lab, but like for cattle, hogs, chickens, things like that. They found that since they had like a vaccine for EHD and the antibiotics, they knew what was in all those. So they found an essential oil or something that's a non-FDA substance, let's say. So it didn't matter. It was like a free chemical that's like a natural. So The easiest way you can explain it is that, like the antibiotics, it's not like right now that nobody uses antibiotics. Everything will say non-GMO, no antibiotics, but it's not like they're just letting their chickens out and, hey, here's the 6 that survived, we'll sell those. They just made it so they're naturally occurring substances that don't have to be regulated under the FDA, like essential oils. So they would take the antibiotic, say, okay, this would mimic this, this would mimic this, this would mimic this, this would mimic this, put them together. You basically have a natural antibiotic, and that's what they're using now. When they say it's non-antibiotic, it's not that they're not using any, they're just using natural substances. But when they did all that work on that, they did the EHD vaccine as well, so they knew all the parts of that. So they did the same thing with essential oils and all the things, and that is what is in this. And I don't think we've done a great job of explaining that to people. But what's in this pellet, it's not like it's going to keep them healthy so they can survive EHD, anything like that. I mean, it does that as well, but that's, from the best of my knowledge, that's all anybody else can do, is just try to keep them healthy. But what's in that pellet is basically the EHD vaccine in what we're calling non-FDA, naturally occurring essential oils and things like that that mimic the EHD vaccine. Now, the thing that you can't do with the vaccine, you can give every individual deer. You don't know how much they're going to eat, so that's the wild card here, because you could get a deer that just came in from your neighbors and have taken 2 bites out of this and find them dead of EHD. But that's why it's like, you know, early to middle of June now, we've had these things going since the beginning of June, since I kind of started seeing it getting to the point where it's going to be dry. So we want these deer eating this all summer to make sure that every buck and doe is getting it throughout the whole summer, so that if they do get the EHD virus, they can overcome it. And like I said, you look around here, there's a big giant cornfields there, there's giant bean fields there, we got alfalfa and clover here. It's not that we have feeders to feed deer. They have all the food they would ever need right there. Number one is to keep them healthy. That's the number one thing, is to get that pellet in them, and it also has the energy and of the corn, and then it has roasted soybeans in my mix here for, you know, so you have the protein, the carbohydrates, you have everything they need right in that mix right there. And that ratio between corn and beans will change from season to season. But number one is to have them as healthy as we can possibly get them. But number two is just to take good inventory of them. And then I'm going to come with a fogger. I'm going to fog it with a mix of, you know, of a pesticide and permethrin to get rid of the ticks. And look at this field right here. They love laying out in this kind of stuff to get out of the bugs at night. But if I go around and fog this whole area, get rid of the ticks and the flies and the black flies and midges and everything else in this field right here, I'm hoping that I can get these deer that can come up here. They've got food, they've got water, no bugs. They'll just lay out in this clover field at night, come and eat here in the morning, and just maybe go bed right off the edge throughout the day in the warm sun like this. I'm trying to prevent them from going down in the creek bottoms, because there's no water in them right now and it's just mud. And that's where the midges hatch, is out of that mud. And so that's why you get so many bucks that die from it. You get does that die from EHD too, but so many times those bucks are in bachelor groups and they got this big giant velvet rack here full of blood, and that's what those midges want. And it attracts to those bucks so much, and that's how you get that whole bachelor group will wipe them out. So I'm trying to do is get those deer to bed here. Again, they have a mind of their own, they can go wherever they want to, but like we said before, if I can get 2% chance of more bucks coming to this feeder here, staying in this field, 2% using this water instead of this water, just those little percentage pieces. Like if it saves me 1 or 2 deer by putting water here, it's definitely worth it for me, because it might be that 1 buck that could hit 200 this year. So that's a strategy for EHD. We've never done the water troughs before, but you know, extreme times need extreme measures, so that's what we're doing. All right, let's see. Let's fill this up first. We can probably bring that in. Okay, that's good. Okay, you can just stop right there. You did. Like the day we're having, first take the hose, rips off the Vail mulcher in the first 2 minutes and cuts a hole in it, and then you pull up and the nail in the tire. It's just one of those things like every day you run into. Okay, so what we did here on these cameras is like, you know, batteries and stuff has just been like, I used to have a standing monthly order from Walmart. They'd bring us 2,000 batteries a month. And so it's nice having the lithium batteries on here with the solar panels. And that's why I always try to put any feeders or cameras like out in the field like this. Normally we always had them in trees, like up against the woods in here. But with the solar panels and the lithium batteries, I don't have, this will last all year like this. So I put like a feeder here, or if it's just even in the, during hunting season, the feeders are gone, put them on scrapes. I put cameras out here, just so they're facing north all the time, so that sun is back here, never getting glare in the front, but constantly getting sunlight on the solar panel. And so when you put these cords in, a lot of times the coons will reach up here and grab them out. You see how I plug that in, then bring it straight up top and wrap it around here a couple times, and the same thing here, so they're at an angle so they can't pull them out when they're on there. And that'll save you a bunch of time when your batteries die and you're wondering why. You'll come here and these are unplugged because coons get all over it. And also, like I said, I have this stand, and this is a Tacticam stand, and they're good, and there's lots of good ones you can put into the ground like this. But you see it's hard as a rock right now. It would have been fine without the post, but I can't even push that in because it's so dry here. But if it gets a lot of rain all of a sudden, it gets muddy, you know, the big coons will get on this thing and pull them right over. So I always put in a fence post, pound that in, and then just attach, you know, put my strap around it to hold it on there so there's no way they're gonna knock that thing over. But that's really our strategy on cameras now, has been just the battery life on the things. Is just using their lithium batteries and the solar panel. And this thing will last all year. You never have to change batteries on the thing.
I'll feather it in, put it over there, I'll feather it in with the bucket. Yeah, let's do it. I think if we do the next one...
Well, we'll just go up and this way and cut it that way if we need to, but...
There you go.
You can see what our concern is. I mean, it is dug down a 1.5 feet or more, and it's just absolute powder, even down 2 feet. So there's zero moisture in this. That's why we're lucky we planted a bunch of alfalfa early this year, because they kind of see that you just kind of prepare for those dry years. You didn't know at that time yet, but as I'm going to plant a bunch of alfalfa just in case, and I'm glad we did, because that's the only thing that's growing. These clover fields, they have such shallow roots that they'll just sit there, either die if you don't get any, or just sit there dormant, turn yellow and stuff until we get rain. But we'll see what happens, but we're doing everything we can. I feel pretty good about feed wise, that I know it's worked in the past, so we just keep our fingers crossed on that. All right, well, we had a road getting down to this little lower, we call the northeast field. And the road that we had, you know, was a good spot to go through, but we had to go over a creek, and we'll have to go over that same creek here. But it's neighboring people, you know, that the road just came right next to the fence line, and of course it didn't take a week for there to be a stand sitting right on the fence. So we decided we better make another road in here, just kind of prevent deer from walking that road right past the neighbor's stand. So we're just coming in from another way, and this used to be kind of a road coming down in here, and then it just got all overgrown. So that's what's nice about having the Vail stuff. You can just come in here in short order and make a new road in here, and we'll just simply come in from the other way. You know, there's nothing you can do about it. We'll just close that road down, lay some trees across it or whatever, just so a deer don't want to go that way, and have them, you know, come through this way instead. So he said there used to be a road in here already, but you know, years ago, but we just let it get grown over, so we're just opening it back up again, and may need a pipe down in the creek crossing, we'll see, but we'll just come in and hopefully we get deer coming in and out down this road instead of just kind of keep them off that other road. But what's nice about having Vail equipment like this, doesn't matter what the job is, no job too big or too small, you just go and get it done. should be good.
Hope George didn't pass out because he didn't have nothing to eat. I can't believe he didn't get out and eat any blackberries.
Yeah, it's really nice and wide open over there now. I mean, that whole thing going down through there, just nice and open all the way to it. You could drive you semi through there. You okay?
Perfect.
That'd be a good job for you. You can sit and shake these. Yeah, let's put apple in there, huh? You think our deer would like apple? Mm-hmm. They like apples, don't they?
Let's see your best shake.
Here, you can shake that one.
Yeah.
Tiffany, shake that one. All right, well, we're like we dug in some of the Rubbermaid tanks, but we also have a couple of the Banks water troughs as well. The problem with those, they have just a little tiny top that you can't get in and mix anything with it, which is normally okay, but Anni-Logics has this Deer Oasis. It has the minerals and everything in it as well, and like we were talking about for EHD, this doesn't have the TX4 for the EHD, like all the other stuff does, but it still has all the minerals and things like that in there that they need. And so we're just trying to do everything for them like we talked about before. So everything from the water, we want to have minerals and a way to keep them healthy and growing and everything else. And the feeders is what's most important with the Anni-Logics pellets in them. But I'm just mixing, these are 1 bottle per 100 gallons. So let's put 3 of them in here. I can mix them right here. So some of the places where we have the Banks ones where you can't get a mixer in there, you know, it's already all pre-mixed. So come on, Rags, let's put them in. What do you think? Here, you guys put them in. You need a knife to get the top off, or you get it? Okay, I'll be mixing. And normally we put these in where we're filling it up, but we didn't. It was already full today, so. Yeah. I bend it, trying to get it out of there. We can just pull up the live cam and make sure you can see that on there. Hi guys.
This looks really nice.
Okay, let's see here.
This kind of looks better than our driveway.
Right, well, we've just been digging in some water troughs. You have a Banks water trough here we put here. And this is our live cam. So people on the live cam, hello. And people watching on YouTube, if you want to watch, this is a live cam. It goes 24/7, 12 months of the year. You can either go to like the Carbon TV and look at the Crush cam, or Crush Deer cam,
Yeah.
or you can go to our website, which is just the crush.tv. And there's a free page on there. Like I said, it's free and it's awesome. But what we did here is just, as we talked about earlier, has been so dry. And I think it's winding up like 2012 where we had the worst EHD. So we're really preventing against that, and we really haven't had any since we've had the feed. And I think, like we always talk about those little 2% things, and that's, can't put gravel in here. And even though it's not necessarily for now, but it will rain eventually, and it will get muddy in here. And even on those years where it's plenty wet, and you think, okay, it's not an EHD year, but still, even on those years that it's not bad, there's still midges that are hatching. You don't want them hatching right at your feeder where all your deer are at. So you don't want this to be mud on those wet years either, and plus they can get that hoof rot and all that stuff. You just don't want them standing in water. So normally we just move feeders around, you know, move them out of the spot. Like for this, we can't. We have a camera set up and it's our live cam, so we just came in. Any of them that are in the spots where we want them, we just put gravel in here like this so they're not standing in mud and stuff like that. And then we just added the water trough here. Like I said, we want to give them every reason to come and stay here. And I'm just gonna, in a minute here, I'm gonna fog this, get rid of the ticks, flies, gnats, midges. We're just trying to get those deer to spend more time right here. You know, so they have water, food, no bugs. You know, most of the time you'll see them like in the fields right now at night, they lay out there because there's less bugs. So we spray our fields, our food plots that are right close to this and to all of our farms, like the fields where we want them to stay in. That's our whole thing. You have those little 2% things. We want to keep deer here as many as we can. But the one thing that's the 80% is that feed right there, like we talked about. And, you know, for these live cam guys have been watching forever. People have asked me a ton of times what's in it, and stuff. It's just a base mix, and it's a mix of corn and roasted soybeans, soy oil, in different rations for different times of the year. But it's that pellet that has, and it's not just alfalfa like we talked before. It's not just a protein pellet. It's basically an EHD vaccine in a natural form that is legal to feed to wild animals. And we've had tremendous luck with EHD, basically had none, but it hasn't been terrible over the past year. So
I don't know what to knock on.
yeah, so no, a year like this, we haven't had a dry year like this ever since I've been here. So it could be winding up to one of those terrible years for EHD, and that'll put the true test to that feed. But we're doing everything, you know, not just relying on the feed. We're putting the water out, putting the minerals in the water. We're putting gravel down in place that could possibly ever get mud. You know, everything we possibly can do for them. So now let's fog. That's the last thing I've got in my arsenal is feed. Try to pull them out of those ditches. Try to get rid of bugs. To have them, hey, this is the most comfortable place on the farm for them to lay. This is where we want them, right here. We can hold them here. We don't have to worry about EHD. So that's the plan. We'll go fog this and keep moving on with that, and I'll show you what we fog with and how we fog, and we'll go from there. Because mosquitoes, gnats, biting and horn and non-biting midges. See, that's what you want is the midges. Black flies and other biting flies. Yeah, so what I'm using is this Permanone from Bayer on this for these midges, and if you read the label, it says for mosquitoes, all kinds of biting and non-biting gnats and midges and everything else. And it's, you know, the main ingredient is permethrin, but it's only like a 3.5%, so I just run it straight. I don't mix it, because I know like the sprays that we use on our clothes and stuff are like 13%, so I'm just running this straight. I'm not mixing it with anything, and it does a really good job of clearing out all those flies and the ticks especially. I mean, just wipes out the ticks from the area. And then plus with the feed that has the technology, we call it, in the feed to get ticks off them and everything else. You notice our deer over the past years have just been clean as a whistle. None of the bald spots on their back, not all missing hair and stuff. They've just been super healthy, hardly no ticks, beautiful coats and everything else. All this stuff is working, and this is part of it too, is keeping them ticks and flies and everything off, and just keep low stress and keep them close to these feeders. Okay, go. Just goes to show you, I'm just driving around here fogging. This is right by my house, and we just put a water trough out here and just put some of the Anni-Logics Oasis in there literally like an hour ago. And I'm out fogging around here right now, trying, you know, getting the midges and ticks and everything down. And as we're driving, we just drive past that little water trough, and boom, deer already out drinking in it. Don't care that we're here. That's what's nice about living here and being on your farms a lot. Is just that they're used to us, and they know when we put out food or put out water, something that we're doing something that they like. And so many times you go out there and they come out immediately just to see, hey, did they put some food out here for us? Did they put some mineral out? Is it fogging like we're doing now, getting rid of all the ticks and midges and flies and mosquitoes so we can sit out here in peace and eat? So, go at that live cam, I bet you will be interesting to see. I bet there's probably deer in that already.